into it. 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 8 and 9. 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 8 through 9. I'm reading from the New King James Version. And this is Peter, that apostle. You know, it's been said that Peter was the leader of the group. It was also said, one writer said that Peter had to have peppermint socks because he kept his foot in his mouth. Peter was the leader of the group. I call him my thug Christian because Peter carried that switchblade. You know, he was ready, and he even cut off a soldier's ear. But Jesus had to put him in check because Peter was passionate about what he believed. And so here in this first letter, Peter is writing to believers that are going through intense trials and suffering for their belief. They're being persecuted, and Peter is encouraging them by telling them to hold steadfast to their faith. And then in verses 5, he gets to chapter 5, rather, not verse, chapter 5. You see how excited I am. You get to chapter 5, and he begins chapter 5 talking to the elders, encouraging the elders to shepherd the flock, watch over those who God has put in their charge, and have the right motives, and not to do it for the wrong reasons, but to do it as a result of their love, because the good shepherd, that being Jesus Christ, watches over us. But I like the way Peter transitions, because right there in verse number 5, I just want to touch on that. He says, likewise, you younger people. He says, likewise, you younger people. And that's not the only people I'm talking to, but I'm definitely focusing on our younger people, this millennials, those are coming up. And that's why I've been focusing on staying woke, because we all need to stay woke. And our acronym for woke is W, I'm staying with God. I don't care what comes. I don't care how difficult it may be. I don't care what I'm feeling or thinking. I made up my mind. I'm staying with God. Somebody put that in the comments. I will stay with God. God has never left me. He will always be there for me. I'm staying with God. Why? Because God knows me. And in spite of all that he knows, he still loves me. So I'm staying with God. O means I'm going to operate according to his word. That's very important, y'all, because if you're going to stay woke, you can't operate according to your feelings. You can't operate according to what your friends say. You can't operate according to what you think is best. You have to operate according to God's word, because God's word gives you the answer for whatever you face. God's word has the answer. We just have to take time to get into the word, because watch this. When you get into the word gets in you, and whatever's in you is going to come out of you. Okay, you're going to make me prove that. You may have said some stuff to some people, and you said, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to say it. But the only reason that came out of you, my friend, is because that's what's in you. Nothing comes out of you that's not in you. So if you got the word in you, then that's what's going to come out of you, right? Whatever you deposit, that's what's going to be withdrawal. So you got to stay with God. You got to stay in his word, operate according to his word. But then, K, we have to keep trusting. And I know that's easier said than done, but what other choice you got? I've got to keep trusting God. Because when I trust in myself, I mess up. When I lean to my own understanding, then I mess up. I shared with my Bible study group that we have to remember, y'all, watch this, that God sees the entire scope of our lives in one scene. He sees the beginning and the end all at one time. So he knows everything that's going to happen in between. We don't know. We keep trusting him, because as we allow him to navigate our lives, we get closer and closer to what he wants us to be. And that's a full life. When you live the life that pleases God and brings out the best in you in every situation. So we have to stay woke by staying with God. W is with God. O is operating according to his word. But then K, keep trusting him. And then watch this. E means we can then engage the culture. Our young people, the times we live in, the challenges we face, the culture in which we live, where everything's about a phone and everything's about technology. We want to engage through the word of God. And we can do that the right way, because guess what I'm so glad to tell you? Do you know that Jesus knew how to handle everything and everybody regardless of what's going on? He still knows how to handle everything and everybody. So if we look to him for direction, then we'll follow his steps and things will be much better. But we have to stay woke. Come on, do me a favor, point yourself and say, self, stay woke. Childish Gambino, the author of the song, says, listen, they creeping, Don't let him catch you sleeping. That's right, the enemy is creeping. Don't let him catch you sleeping. You want to stay woke. 1 Peter 5, 8 through 9. Now, after he writes to the younger people, he begins by telling them things to do, that God resists the proud, but give grace to the humble. Humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, casting all your cares upon him. And it's at verse 8 where I want to start, and I want to kind of give you two things. Well, two things to do, and one thing to tell you how to do it. And I'm going to give it to you in just 25 minutes. Did you hear what I said? I'm going to give it to you in 25 minutes. Because you don't have to be long to be effective. Say what you need to say. So let me give it to you. Verse 80 says, be sober. Peter says, be sober. We living in times, y'all, it's time for us to be sober. First two words he says in verse 8, be sober. Now, the question you ought to be asking yourself is, what does it mean to be sober? What does it mean when he says, be sober? To be sober is written in the imperative mode. That simply means it's not a question. It's not a suggestion. It's a command. He's saying, listen, be sober. He's telling us that because the times we live in, we need to be sober, be awake. Okay. Let me see if I can help you feel it. You know, when you tell somebody be sober, you're basically speaking against them not being intoxicated. I'll wait. When you're talking about being sober, the opposite of being sober is being intoxicated. And Peter is telling us, listen, y'all, the times we live in, it's time out for us to just sit back and relax, sip our little drink and do whatever. It's time for us to be sober, to be alert, to be attentive. Because the adversary, watch this, the adversary, who is the devil, what is he doing? He walks about like a roaring lion. Why is he walking about? Because he's seeking whom he may devour. And if you're not alert, if you stay intoxicated, if you're not sober, he'll catch you slipping. Come on, can I get a witness? He's called me slipping before. I've said things I wouldn't do, and he put you in a situation or allowed something to happen, and that very thing you said you wouldn't do. I'm talking to somebody right now. You just did something you said you would never do. And that enemy was just lurking, walking around, seeking to devour you. But thank God for grace and mercy, because in spite of what you may have succumbed to, God has given you another chance to do better. We got to be sober. That means don't be intoxicated. Because watch this. Here's what I know. And I know you can relate to this. Many of you can relate to this. Because when you're intoxicated, there's a danger that lies there. Can I get a witness? You've been intoxicated, and you pick whatever beverage of your choice. You've been intoxicated, and there's a danger in being intoxicated. Listen, let me help you with this intoxicated piece. I have a friend who got intoxicated one time, and I learned some lessons from watching it. Somebody go catch it. I have got a friend, and he got intoxicated one time, and I watched some things about it, and that intoxication piece is phenomenal. That's why he says to be sober. Don't be intoxicated. Because watch this. When you're intoxicated, things begin to slow down. Think about it. When you're intoxicated, things begin to slow down. Your thinking slows down. Your speech becomes slurred when you're intoxicated. When you're intoxicated, stuff can be happening around you and you're not even aware of it. Okay? You've been intoxicated before, maybe not you, but somebody you know. You've been intoxicated before, and you woke up the next day and say, what happened? Because when somebody brings it to your attention, you're like, I did what? You don't say, not me. Girl, you lying. Come on, Doc. Really? I did what? And then we're living in this day and age of technology. Oh, God. Oh, God. Somebody's got a video. Watch this. Somebody's got a video of you doing what you said you wouldn't do because you were intoxicated. Somebody got a video of you in the car and you arguing at the stop sign because you think it's a red light. And you wondering when it's going to change, but you're intoxicated. Don't make me go. You wake up and you wondering what happened to your jacket, or how did my clothes get, or what? How did I make it home? You were intoxicated. The process slowed down. And Peter's telling us, hey, wake up, be sober. Don't be intoxicated, because intoxication will have you thinking something that ain't really happening. You'll miss out on a whole lot of stuff because you were intoxicated. Now, when he's talking about intoxicating, let me give you clarity here. When he says be sober, meaning don't be intoxicated, he's not talking against Ciroc. He's not talking against Merlot. He's not talking against Hennessy, 1942. He's not talking against whatever your drink is, Zinfandel, whatever it is. He's not talking about the alcohol. He's using that, watch this, to bring home the point that we ought to not allow other things to keep us unaware of what's going on around. Oh, come on. Somebody knows what I'm talking about. You've been in some situations where you were unaware of what was going on around you. You were having a good time, though. Oh, please, let me clear that up. You had a good time. You may not remember it, but you had a good time. Sometimes you had such a good time, you wake up the next day and you're on that porcelain throne. You know that? Hello, somebody. Because you've been intoxicated. And Peter said, listen, be sober. Don't be intoxicated. Don't be unaware. So much is happening in our world, and too many of us are intoxicated with, watch this, with power, prestige. Well, I'm making my money. Well, I'm doing my thing. Don't be intoxicated. Don't let the enemy devour you or sneak up on you, watch this, to make you think you're okay. Don't worry about all that. Because when you're intoxicated, things slow down. Your thinking slows down. Your thought process. Now, there are a few people who get extremely deep when intoxicated. They could probably write a book or do, because they get really deep. You know people, come on, not you, but people you know when they get deep, philosophical, can quote Shakespeare. But because intoxication keeps you in a state of euphoria where everything is lovely, you ready to argue, right, at the slightest thing. Peter says, don't be intoxicated. Watch what he says now. Be sober. In other words, don't be intoxicated. If you're going to stay woke, come on. If I'm going to stay woke, I can't be intoxicated. And I'm not talking about alcohol. I'm talking about anything that would slow my thinking down. Anything that would hinder me and keep me from being productive and positive. Anything that would make me oblivious, to what's going on around me. You've ever been, and I got to refer to people you know, you ever been somewhere and you didn't even know what was going on because your mind was in another state. Not that you were focused, you just was intoxicated. And some people get intoxicated with power. They change up when they get a little power. Come on, you see who they really are. Some people get intoxicated with money. They got money, so they think they don't need nobody. Some people get intoxicated, watch this, with position. Now they got the position, you can't tell them nothing. Peter says, listen, be sober. Don't get so intoxicated. Don't get to the point where you don't know what's going on around you. But watch the next word. He says, not only should we be sober, but be vigilant. You see that? He says, be vigilant. Now, what does it mean to be vigilant? Vigilant in the Greek, that simply means to be active. To be active. In other words, I like to say, do something. And somebody needs to say that to yourself. Do something. You've been asleep too long. You've been intoxicated too long. Do something. Time is passing you by. Other people are making moves, getting things done. You need to be vigilant as a believer. Do something. Do something with yourself. I can hear my mama talk. Baby, you need to get up and do something with yourself. You're not going to lay around this house just sitting around and waiting to go outside. Do something. I know some parents want to say that to their kids. Get off that video game. Do something. Come on. Some people got to say that to some adults because you get hooked on that stuff. And do something. You don't even know what's going on around you. You got to be vigilant. You got to do something. Peter's telling us when things are not going well and evil is all around us, and just like we're dealing with this virus and racism, the temptation, watch this, the temptation when things are going bad, the temptation comes to be discouraged, get despondent, act as if things ain't gonna never change. You met people like that? Well, no matter what you say, well, it still ain't gonna, right? You say good morning, it's Monday. What's good about it? You say good night, I hope it is. How you feeling? I guess as well as I. Just all that negativity. You got to be vigilant. You got to do something. Vigilant is where we get the word vigilante. You know, a vigilante, they ain't waiting. They want to take action. You remember them movies, right? Vigilante, you don't necessarily have authority, but you're going to make some moves because you want to see some stuff done. Peter tells us we need to be vigilant. Be vigilant. You got to do something, y'all. All this that's going around, and you just sitting back watching, shaking your head. Come on, I've done it. You watch a new shit. Ain't that a shame? Oh, another person. Oh, this has got to stop. But you ain't doing nothing about it. Because you don't want to get involved, but you always offer your voice, your opinion. You always want to say stuff like, when are you going to do something? Listen, and I'm not just talking about the light of this world, because we definitely need to stay woke in light of what's going on. When are you going to do something with your business? When are you going to do something about the book? When are you going to do something about growing your mind and learning from other people that's going to challenge you? When are you going to do something? Get up and do something. Get involved. Right? Stop waiting on other people to come to your rescue. I've heard people say old adages, I'm waiting for my ship to come in. Well, you ain't said nothing out. You're waiting for it to come in, you ain't putting nothing out. And I'm talking to somebody now, and your problem is, you got a problem with other people because you say, watch this, they do too much. You're just doing too much. Well, they're vigilant. They want to express themselves. They want to be active. They want to be involved. They're vigilant. Oh, and this may sting, but watch this. Sometimes, and some of you can attest to it, sometimes people have a problem with your productivity because it exposes their laziness. Because you're so busy, you're so productive, their problem is, oh, you do too much. And I would encourage you to say, no, I don't do enough. There's a whole lot more I can do. Right? And so instead of complaining about the problem, we need to do something. He says, be sober. Don't be intoxicated. Be alert. Be aware of what's going on around you. Then he says, be vigilant. Be vigilant. Be active. Do something. Do something with yourself. Do something. Stop waiting on other people to do it. But watch what he tells us to do. So those are the two things. He tells us, be sober. That means don't be intoxicated. Don't be oblivious. Don't be lose train of thought. Don't let other stuff distract you, throw you off course. But then he says, be vigilant. Now that you're going to be alert, you're not going to be intoxicated, you got to do something. Complaining about nothing is getting done, then what do your part. And I've heard people say, and I'm ready for them today, I've heard people say this to me. Well, what is going to matter? What difference is going to make about just little old me doing something? Watch this. Because at least I'll feel better about myself. I have self-respect for myself. I'm going to do something because I feel I need to be involved. I'm going to do my part. Watch this. And if everybody did their part, then things won't fall apart. They come together. Think about that. That's your sweet tweet. I know I got to give you one every time, but that's your sweet tweet. If everybody does their part, things won't fall apart. We can work together. So we need to do something. We need to be sober. We need to be vigilant. But watch what he says. So, okay, well, what do we do? You said be sober, be vigilant. Who do we do? Verse 9, he says, resist. That's it. He says, resist. Resist. Resist him. Who? The enemy. To resist means to stand against. To resist means, I'm not falling for the okie doke. You got to resist. See, part of the problem is, and I've been guilty of it, y'all, listen, if you're not careful, the enemy will fool with your mind, and the way he'll fool with your mind, he'll show you stuff he knows you like, because he knows you. Not that he knows you like God, because he's not omniscient, but he's dangled so many things in front of you, he knows what works against you. Oh, come on. He knows what works against you because he'll try, and whatever he dangles that you bite, he got you. And so we got to resist him. Don't fall for the okie doke. Don't let everything he dangles get your attention. That's why I said, listen, sometimes in life it can be a struggle, right? And struggle is good because whatever pulling you and you pulling against it creates the struggle. And some of us, we need more struggle because we just go in with everything. Everything that pulls us, we go with. Everything that's said, you got to resist. Now, but you can't resist without drawing closer to God. If you draw near to God, he'll draw near to you. If you resist him, he will flee. Resist, not assist, but resist. We've got to learn to resist. We've got to stand against him, because if you don't stand against him, you'll fall victim to everything. And we know people like that. Oh, everything bothers them, everything they're worried about. They're never positive because they're not resisting, they're giving in. And I want to encourage you today, resist. Be sober, don't get intoxicated. Don't let this temporary stuff fool you. Don't get intoxicated, and be careful about the people you're around. Watch this, because some people like to stay intoxicated. Come on, you know that. There's some people that like to, and those people who those people we used to call back in the day, but had that drinking problem. They lived on the street. You know the word they use for them. They are always some of the most sharing people you ever meet. They ain't worried about germs. They sip and pass. And who's ever there, everybody gonna get some. Because even though they are intoxicated, they are making sure the people around them are on the same page. So you be sober. And make sure the people around you are sober, alert. Be vigilant. Do something. How? We got to resist. Stand against it. Here's my challenge for you. Now again, like I said, resist. You can't resist in your own strength. Because the devil will have you fooled, making you think you can do it on your own. And the minute you can't do it on your own, you'll be mad with yourself and give up. Come on, I'm telling you, you know, I'm going to start doing this. Now, you start, but then you stop because you tried in your strength. You start and you stop. You've got to ask the Lord to help you. Draw near to God. He'll draw near to you. Resist the devil and he'll flee. Now, that don't mean he won't come back, but when he flees, that gives you a chance to regroup. Point to yourself, I got to regroup. I'm resisting so I can regroup and come back stronger, right? So here's my challenge to you. I want you to start and join me. I'm starting tomorrow morning. When you wake up, I want to give you a dare. D-A-R-E. Now, when I'm spelling, you know that means it's an acronym. I'm giving you this dare. You remember growing up in school, they said, I dare you, well, I'm daring you. Yeah, you. Oh, I'm too old for that. Yeah, you need a good dare. You need a good dare to challenge you to do some stuff you normally wouldn't do. To step out of your comfort zone. Here's your dare. D, daily. A, acts of. R, resisting. E, evil. I want you to daily do acts of resisting evil. Daily acts of resisting evil. That's your dare. When you wake up tomorrow morning, the Lord wakes you up, after you talk to him, you say, Lord, give me the strength to do things that's going to resist evil in my sphere of influence. How does that start? Maybe it starts with a conversation with a coworker about what's going on. Not confrontation, conversation. Maybe it starts with praying with your family and friends, the people on Facebook. Begin to pray with people. Resist the evil because it's all around us. Maybe it happens when you think about what life is bringing and how you can be better. Resist. Now, here's how you know you're resisting. Because when you resist, the challenge gets harder. It seems harder. Watch this. Because you have to resist. If you don't resist, you're giving in. So that's my challenge to you. I dare you. I dare you. Daily. Acts of resisting evil. It's coming. Because the Bible says he goes around, he's walking, he ain't running, walks around as a roaring lion, seeking to devour you. Don't let him devour you. Be sober. Don't be intoxicated. Be vigilant. Do something. And resist. And watch what happens. That way you can stay woke. And people that are woke don't slip. They see everything. Father, I thank you for my time. I thank you for those who have watched. I pray that you would bless them as a result of what they heard, that they would have the strength to resist and not to assist the enemy, that they would be vigilant. And so I want you to stay sober, be vigilant, resist. Right now on the screen behind me, you can see ways we encourage you to give to us. Feel free to do that. We appreciate all that you do, taking your time. And I want you to know, things get better when you begin to think better. And then you'll do better. God bless you. Have a phenomenal day.
We want to thank you for watching today. Here are ways that you can contribute to this ministry. Via Cash App, you would put the money sign, word Tracy. That is how you will give directly to the church. If you would like to bless the man of God, on Cash App, you will put the money sign, Bishop J. Mack. That gives directly to Bishop Johnny Clark. Word Assembly Church also has our Tithely app. has our Tithely app, and it's a blue app when you download it on there. You can go on there and you're going to click Word Tracy. From there, you can also text the word GIVE, that is GIVE, to 747-223-4159. Please stay tuned in tonight at 8 o'clock for our The Word You Heard with Bishop. We'll also be dealing around singles, and you don't want to miss that. We will see you then. Tune in, 8 p.m.